Hi, this is Rebecca. I just received some beautiful violet leaf sets from two of my favorite eBay sellers, Ken and Joyce. And I'd like to share with you the method that I've used, which is tried and true for producing lots of very good quality African violet babies. Let's start by looking at the supplies. I always place my African violet leaves in recycled or gifted clamshell containers that are designed for holding tall cupcakes. It's important that you have the tall version to have plenty of room for your leaves, and they come in both a 6-slot and 12-slot version. I'm going to mix a growing medium that is 1/2 each of perlite and vermiculite, and I do try to, as much as possible, find these ingredients without added fertilizer from the very beginning. And here are the other supplies that I'm going to use: 2-ounce condiment cups, mason line that is twisted, number 18, a Sharpie and electrician's tape for marking the violets, a disposable scalpel, and an iron for making small holes in the bottom of the condiment cups. After you assemble your supplies, it's time to get your condiment cups ready to hold your growing medium. These are 2-ounce condiment cups like you would find at a restaurant for takeout. They can be purchased at party paper supply stores or online, or even gifted by a friendly restaurant owner. I poke 2 or 3 holes in the base of the condiment cup, one for holding the wick and the other hole or 2 for drainage. I use a soldering iron to put the holes in the bottom of the condiment cups, but if you do this, you want to work outdoors so that you're not breathing the fumes from the plastic. You can also use an ice pick or a nail with the end wrapped in duct tape that you've heated over the stove. You also want to cut some lengths of mason line. This is number 18 braided mason line that you could buy in any hardware store. This piece of twine is about 7 or 8 inches long, and I've placed a knot approximately 3 inches from the end of the cord, and I determined the placement of the cord based on the height of the condiment cup. You also want to be able to keep your baby leaves separate from each other and remember which variety they came from. I use electrician's tape and a Sharpie to label all of my cups. I have a spreadsheet where I keep information on each of my violets. It includes information on when the leaf was put down or when or where I purchased a violet, and when they are repotted and information like that. Since I'm only keeping these labels for myself at home, I do not need to list the full variety of the violet, so it simply has a number. Number 136 is this leaf, and the date that I put the leaf down. Now we are ready to fill the condiment cups with growing medium. After inserting the wicks into the condiment cups, I have allowed them to soak in a mixture of warm water with a few drops of Dawn dishwashing liquid added. After soaking about 15 minutes, they are rinsed in clear water. The purpose of the soak in the soapy water is to remove the sizing from the wicks, making it easier for water molecules to travel up the wick to keep the moisture fairly even in the growing medium. This growing medium for leaf propagation is 1 part perlite and 1 part vermiculite. After thoroughly mixing the 2 dry ingredients, you should add warm water until it reaches a consistency that looks a little bit like this, looking a little bit clumpy. If it feels like the sand at the edge of the beach, it is too wet. One way to test the amount of moisture is to grab a fistful, and the medium should stick together into a small lump. Although this step is not required, I usually take a small amount of number 4 coarse perlite and put in the base of the condiment cup. This aids in drainage. You want to make sure that the edge of the wick is below the surface of the growing medium once you fill the cup. The cup should be filled with growing medium because it will shift slightly over time as it disintegrates somewhat. As you see again, the wick is not showing. It has filled the top, but it is not pressed down with an impacted medium. And then I place the cup into the cupcake holder with the wick underneath the cup. There's a little bit of charcoal, similar to what you would buy at a pet store, in the base, which helps keep any water underneath the condiment cup fresh. Now we're ready for some leaves. As you see, I have 2 trays ready to go with condiments cups filled with our growing medium. The condiment cups are already numbered to go along with the record that I have put into my spreadsheet with the names of the violets that I'm going to place in here. The reason there are 2 trays is because leaves are generally sold in pairs, and I'm going to place 1 leaf of each of the varieties into separate trays. This way, if I have some kind of problem develop within one of my trays, I have insurance in the other tray. It is sort of an heir and a spare kind of situation. Here I have 4 leaves ready to go into the trays. I have used a disposable scalpel to trim the stems of each of these leaves, leaving approximately 1 inch of stem. The leaves are placed with the front side up. This is the fuzzy side of the leaf. And I have trimmed them at an angle, cutting from the top downward to the base. By leaving this much surface on the stem, I am likely to have more babies develop from this particular leaf. This one is ready to go into the growing medium. After leaving 1 inch of stem, I'm going to place approximately 1/2 of an inch into the growing medium. It is angled slightly backwards so that as the babies begin to grow, they will not be shaded by the mother leaf. Generally, I should start to see baby plants growing in anywhere from 2 to 6 leaves. The different varieties will vary in how long it takes for babies to start growing, often due to the thickness of the stem. You do not want to place the stem too far into the growing medium, otherwise it will take much longer for babies to show up. Because I have felt the soil and the growing medium feels slightly damp, I'm also going to give this one a little squirt of water. I use purified water. It has a very weak dose of fertilizer added. If for any reason I've added too much water, it should leak down through the drainage holes that I placed. Once this is filled, the entire container will be sealed, watching carefully not to put any pressure on the leaves. And now, patience is your key. You want to close the container tightly. Place it in a good spot with good sun or under growing lights, and resist the temptation to open it every day to check on your violets. As long as you leave these containers sealed, you should not need to add water for at least 1 week, and you should never add water without first feeling the growing medium to see if it feels like it's getting too dry. I hope this has been helpful to you and that you will have successful propagation of all of your friends' leaves.